Welcome to the broadcast, the best broadcast this side of the Mississippi, because I live in the West Coast. And also, this broadcast has been called the next best thing since individually wrapped cheese slices. Oh,
Welcome
hold on.
to the broadcast.
My mother also told me that she thought this was the best channel and show she's ever seen. So, obviously, with those 3 points of confluence, this show is incredible. And so, I just want to welcome you to the broadcast. I didn't get to do it yesterday. Today is actually Tuesday, but I don't know when you're watching it. So, I hope you enjoy it. I'm ready to take over the world in a meaningful and positive way and talk about Bitcoin stocks, where we're at, what's going on. Are we headed to the moon, or are we going to dump back down? What do I think the future holds? Where are the points of confluence? And are we in a position to say, okay, it's finally going up? Or are we in a position to say, oh my gosh, we're going back down, we're going to get crushed? And I think one thing you want to pay attention to before I get into this is the idea that we're in a bear market, and when we're in a bear market, there are bear market rallies. And so the most important thing that we have to think about in bear market rallies is it will rally up and it will go to points of to higher levels, but that doesn't mean that it's going to clear a new all-time high in these rallies. And so we have to pay attention to our points of confluence along the way, and this really comes down into your investment strategy. First, I'm going to share this with my group. And that comes down to your investment strategy. And so if your investment strategy, and this isn't financial advice, I'm just a guy talking on the internet, I'm not a doctor, I can't tell you where your belly button is located, but I can tell you the general area. So the thing you have to think about here is your investment strategy. So is your investment strategy designed around just holding? Well, then probably don't want to FOMO in on pumps. You want to jump in on big dumps. If your investment strategy is to buy some coin and to take some profits when we get into these rallies, well, then this is probably a good time to make that happen. But you need to map out where you're going to sell in the points of opportunity, so you don't ultimately just FOMO in at every top. So I think you have two schools of thought here. You have the DCA strategy, where you just don't care and you buy in, or you buy on big dumps. And you have the thesis of profit versus profitable pumps. So when the coins start pumping, you've already been accumulating, and then you sell on the pumps, then you rebuy back in when it dumps back down. So obviously with strategy 2, you're able to consistently generate more revenue to buy and make more coin. With strategy 1, you just kind of have to have a source to consistently buy in from, hopefully a job or a business or whatever it is that you're actually doing in life. So that's kind of where we're at in the market. I don't believe we're actually going towards like an all-time high. I do believe we're moving toward the indication that a bear market pump is upon us. And so I think that's cool. That's fun. That's exciting. But to be clear, it doesn't mean we're going to go to an all-time high. Like this isn't the bear market just going nuts. This isn't going back into a bull market yet. We have to wait to see if more points of confluence begin to present themselves as we move up. And then we can make the delineation and determination as to whether or not we are going to continue moving up or we're going to move back down. Everything is based on obtaining a certain amount of points of confluence to make a decision that's an educated decision as to whether or not we're going to go up or down or sideways or what's going to happen. No one can exclusively predict the market, but we can say, okay, this is what probably will work. This is what probably will happen. This is what won't happen, blah, 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 based on points of confluence that we achieve in the market. So without further ado, let's take a look at the actual market itself. We've actually had a pretty good pump across the board. I'm in, better share my screen before I forget. Okay. So Bitcoin up 16%, ETH up 44%. So that's incredible. ETH is coming up on the merge too. So we might see a big FOMO pump on the merge because it's a huge thing for ETH. Tether is finally back to $1. It was under $1 for like the last century. So finally back up to that dollar point. US dollar coin is actually just below, which is fine. It's been okay. BNB up 18%. Honestly, I think right now the best thesis was Solana and Matic so far, because we got Matic up 59% in 7 days, Solana up 35% in 7 days. Some really good opportunities here if someone was able to get in at the bottom. And my thesis basically lately is Bitcoin and ETH, and then some of the layer ones like Matic, AVAX, Solana, stuff like that, because I think the layer ones are going to be around for a long period of time. And I think you have to pick the right ones, like Near, Cosmos. Those are all coins that I really like a lot. I think ApeCoin, regardless of what people say, is a coin that's going to be here to stay. It has an incredible team and everything behind it. I know it had some serious FUD, but they just have so much going for them. They're represented by some of the agencies that represent like the A-list Hollywood celebrities. So I don't see ApeCoin going anywhere. The other one I really like a lot is GMT. I think the play to earn realm is going to be huge when we get out of the bear market. And that step-in app was profitable in a bear market. So when you think about the fact that they built not only a project, but they built a profitable project that has a real world earning potential and real world application, now you have something that is the next best thing since sliced bread. And so I think we have to think about it in that regard as well. Like layer ones are usable. People are going to use those. People are going to use things that actually have either the potential for use, like Ethereum layer ones, or the things that actually have real world application that they can actually use. You're going to start seeing, you'll usually see in these bear market rallies, you'll see Bitcoin pump, you'll see ETH pump, you'll see big level like top 10 coins pump or top 20. Then you'll start seeing the smaller ones. Then you'll start seeing the micro caps. Then the shit coins will pump, like the dumb dog coins and all that stuff will start pumping. That's when that's a point of confluence for me, honestly, that the pump's about to dump, when the trash starts pumping. So when that stuff goes up, that's when it's time to start considering, okay, we're probably going down. We look at Phantom, 37%. Actually, Beethoven, Beats.fi has a really good, let me show you all, a really good pool that essentially, the only bad thing about the Beethoven pool is it has to maintain a 50-50 balance. So when we look at it, and I know I've been talking about layer ones, but when we look at these layer ones, one of the pools that I like a lot that's in the index, maybe not. See, it's called Battle of the Bands. All right, well, I guess we'll just scroll and find it, but it's a really neat pool in here because it has most of the layer ones just already integrated into it. So it's super easy to just to buy into it and ultimately get the benefit of most of the layer ones. Now I have to find it because I can't even search for it. We'll find it. Don't worry. I won't give up. It's in here somewhere, I swear. Maybe not. Maybe it's in community pools. Let's keep looking. I won't give up on you. Hopefully you're still watching. So this was the old one, which had Luna, and they made a new one that removed Luna because obviously we don't want Luna in our investment pools anymore, our strategy or thesis. So the new one's called Battle of the Bands Remastered. Actually, I think if we just search for Matic, we'll find it. In incentivized pool. There it is. Okay, so this is a cool pool. The only thing that I think might be a negative for some people is this pool will always maintain a 20% balance of all these coins. So for example, if Matic pumps and goes just nuts, it's going to consistently sell Matic back into the pool. So these coins all stay at an even keel. But when we look at Matic was the first to just really go crazy, Sol's starting to go nuts, AVAX is going nuts, Phantom's going nuts. All of these are consistently pumping up. They're going to consistently sell themselves back and maintain a 20% balance across all of these. So all you have to do is for example, just get a bunch of Phantom. Say you have like $1,000 in Phantom, you just put that into the pool and it automatically distributes it. So you own all these different coins. Then on top of that, what's really cool is the APR, the swap fees. So because people are swapping and actively using and swapping these coins, you're earning 133% of the swap fee. So that basically goes back into your Beats, your BPT. So it's your Beats tokens or whatever. So when you put these in, you get a Beats BPT. I think it's like a Beats protocol token. That's your receipt of value from the protocol. So then you deposit this and then you earn this 142% from the swaps that go back in as BPTs. And you also earn 9% towards like the Beats coin. So then you'll get the Beats and you can put Beats back into the protocol, or you can sell it and just put it back into this. There's one of the main Beats coins is, and this wasn't even supposed to be like a Beats overview, but I think this is really cool, the idea of these index funds. But one of the incentivized pools is the Fidelio Duetto. It's 26%. So you put your beats back in here mixed with Phantom, and it gives you another opportunity to earn revenue based on the protocol itself. So you stake it, and then you earn off of, you basically earn three ways. So you invest your beats in the pool, you stake and you earn, and then you stake your F beats, which is like your protocol beats. Then you can earn, you can participate in governance. You can vote to get more beats allocated to the Battle of the Bands or whatever pools you're in, and you earn off of the 30% of the protocol revenue. So in a bull market, it ends up being fairly significant. But I just thought this was cool because it gives you the opportunity to invest in layer ones at a fairly easy rate. You don't have to go buy a million of them. You just put money into, and this isn't financial advice, obviously, but you just put money into this, it automatically distributes it across the board. So you hold 20% of everything. As everything pumps, it consistently rebalances the pool. So you always have 20% of these tokens, and it's always going to be about the same value in each. So it allows you to accumulate, and it allows it to consistently stay balanced as it accumulates up. So just really neat. I thought it was a cool thing. Beats, I like the protocol a lot. I trust the protocol. I've been in it for, I think I've been using it for a while now, and I haven't seen anything go wrong. I've seen the team, and the dev team's incredible. They're on it. They're professional. They're on Optimism now as well. So if you want to play more on like the ETH game, like over in the ETH game, you can go in and play on here too. So you can go in and invest. And there's some cool stuff here, like 30% ETH, Bitcoin, US dollar coin pool. So you have essentially a good sort of index fund for that. You have just a lot of neat stuff. So check it out. But I think the most important piece that I wanted to look at was the layer ones in there. I think it's pretty cool that you can do that, because when you look at the layer ones that are in that pool, you've got let's go back up. You've got BNB, which is the lowest performer right now, 18%. But then you got Solana 35% up. You've got Polygon 59% up. You've got AVAX 42% up. You've got, let's find the last one. What was the last one? We'll go back. Oh, and Phantom. So then you've got Phantom, which is down here somewhere. Let's find it. But I think Phantom was like 30-something% up. So yeah, 38% up. So you've got a really cool pool with coins that are doing really well that you sort of can invest in and have an index fund and make it super easy to jump in. It is on the Phantom network. So unless to use that one, so you have to be in Phantom to be able to use it. But for me, Phantom's great. It's like transactions are less than a penny. It's super easy to use. It's fast. And I don't see any reason not to. I mean, I do it. So hopefully that's helpful. But let's take a look. See, notice as we pump, we'll start to see more value locked in DeFi, chains start pumping up. Everyone starts to want to FOMO back in. So just something to pay attention to. See, look at it across the board, everything up. We've got just money flowing into DeFi because people are less afraid. Tron's really trying hard to pass BNB, which is pretty amazing. We've got everything. I don't think anything's negative right now. Like Phantom in a month was down 17. It's even up now. Arbitrum was down. It's starting to move up. We've got Optimism, which is really pumping. So everything, lots of money flowing into DeFi. And so now, without further ado, you're probably wondering where the market's at. So the market itself, I would say, when I look at good old Biddy, I always base what I do off of Bitcoin because I want to create points of confluence surrounding Bitcoin itself, because if Bitcoin moves up, the other coins will have the opportunity to move up. If Bitcoin dumps, everything's going to dump. So what am I looking at right now for points of confluence? Number one, like I said, if you're in a position to where you're just investing to hold, and I zoom out, there's two arguable points here. If someone's just investing to hold, anything below this like 200-week moving average at 22.6 is like just incredible accumulation opportunities. So if you're just investing to hold, anything below that is probably like the greatest opportunity in the history of the coin. And I think there's only been a couple of points to where we've actually set under this for a while. So that's point number one. Like it doesn't matter. Zoom out. So a lot of people say, well, I don't want to buy on a pump. Okay, well, just zoom out. Look at this. Let's turn this rainbow off real quick. But like, just zoom out and look at what's going on. I don't want to buy right now. It's too high. Like, okay, this is where we were at. Even with this little pump that's got everyone excited, this is where we're currently at. Like, it's not a huge deal. The upside potential is much higher than the downside potential. I mean, look at this. I've even mapped it out. Here's the upside potential, even if we just went back to the new all-time high, which we'll go way higher than that. But even if we just go back to this is the upside potential. And then, okay, let's look at the downside potential. The downside potential here is going to like 13K. So little downside potential, massive upside potential. So you have to kind of think about that in reference to where we're at and where we're moving. If you're just holding, it's just a DCA strategy. Obviously, if you're moving to take profits and stuff like that, that's when we start wanting to take and look at points of confluence to find good accumulation zones and then good profit zones. And if someone's like in a point to where they do want a DCA, I personally think that you have good zones to DCA in and you have good zones to just sit out and stop doing it. So for me, my best DCA zones are below this 200-week moving average that's right here. So when we look at that moving average, it's sitting at like 22.5. So below that, I think, is just incredible opportunities. Above that is when I start to stop jumping in. And that's when I start to essentially, if we're in a bear market, I start to take profits in different zones. So I look at like the logarithmic zones and start to take profits when we enter new zones. So we're in this rally. We are currently, let's go back to the 4 hour. We're currently focused on trying to clear the 200 week. And we're actually working on clearing one of our first logarithmic regression zones. So it's right here at like 23.4. So typically for me, we clear these zones, and let me go to a different chart so it's not confusing. But when we clear these zones, what happens is the 200 week is a pretty big resistance line. Then we've got this first logarithmic zone that we've specifically wicked off of. So then, okay, 23.4, if we clear these zones, then I anticipate us moving to the next zone. So it's like this zone, and then we move back up to the next zone, which is like 32-ish. When we look at it, when we track the regression channel, or this channel here, let me make this larger. But when we go in and we track these zones here, these retracement zones, and kind of see the zones it follows too, and it gives you a good points of confluence on where to go in and out. So it's like first zone here was pretty challenging for us to get through. We dumped, we got rejected, and then we pumped, got rejected, pumped back through. So now that we're in the middle of this zone, if we cleared this logarithmic zone here at like, I actually need to see a daily close above this 200 week to really say, okay, this is legit, which would mean like the end of day today would give me a lot higher confluence. And then this first sort of log zone here at 23.1 gives me another massive point of confluence to say that, okay, we probably would see 25. Then we clear 25, then, okay, now I have a point of confluence, we'll probably see 30. Then if we have a huge just shut down at 30 and we get stuck and go sideways for an eternity, that gives me a point of confluence that we're probably going back down. Now, if we went sideways and started going past it and we got stuck in this zone between 31 and 30, then that's another point of confluence that we're going to go back up. What else do I look at on whether or not this is a good rally? Well, I start looking at the larger timeframes, and I've been talking about this on Twitter. So go to twitter.com/ChandlerSAF and follow me on the Twitter. So that way you can see all the stuff I'm doing in real time, or join my group. So just comment group down below, and I'll put the link in the comments. But the other point of confluence I look at is right here. So I've been talking about this for a while. We need this daily RSI I like to watch. And this oversold, I think it's a meme. Oversold and overbought, it can sit there forever. But what I typically look at is we have the 50 line, which is a good indicator of a long-term trend change. And so notice how this 50 has been a pretty big point of resistance for a long time. So we're stuck below, we were above it, trend change, and then leads us to just dumping into eternity. Then the 50 becomes resistant. So rejection, it just can't clear it. Come back down, can't clear it. Come up, can't clear it. Back down, come up, can't clear it. Now we're above it. So for me, that signifies probably a significant trend change on the daily itself, the fact that we were actually able to clear this 50. And it tells me that maybe like near term, we have a pretty decent pump building, because we cleared it, and we haven't necessarily retested it, but it is very bullish to clear that 50. The other thing that I look at here on the weekly is the weekly is doing a similar thing. And the weekly is actually, so this yellow line, when we look at where we've been stuck here, we've been stuck below this 30 line. So unable to get past it. Now we cleared it and we've actually crossed bullish on this this RSI cross right here. So this is going to cross bullish and go above it. And then the next stop is it's going to test here for a minute. But then once it clears that, that's another point of confluence. Like we clear this, that moves up to the 25. Then that would likely push this. If this is like a weekly deal, push this to the 50. We cleared that, gives us more to go to the 30. And so these are more points of confluence that tell me that we could have something coming. The next thing, this is the MACD starting to peel over, which tells me we're getting close to test this, which when that peels over and actually crosses and doesn't reject, we have huge drives. So that's another point of confluence that we are moving into maybe like a medium term trend change, like a bear market pump. Then as we get closer up and as we do get closer to passing the 50, then we'll look at that like, okay, we got rejected last time we tried here, which was at this point, 47,000. And then we dumped pretty hard. So now we come back up, we're going to come back up and test this 50 and then see where that takes us. Another point of confluence, let's look at the monthly. So monthly still isn't really hasn't done a ton, but it's moving just like everything else. This hasn't really changed. We're going to see this change first. You can see that it kind of bottomed out down here, and then it started to peel back up. So now the monthly is getting closer to testing that 50. And that would mean that we would need, what is this, the 19th? We would need this month to close like an a big bullish God candle. And then that'll put us in the position to test that 50. And so when we do test and clear that 50, like right here, we started testing it in April 1st, 2019. And then we didn't actually get anything until October 1st, 2020. So we could clear it and then just go sideways for an eternity and I'll die of boredom, which could put us into a bear market. We pump up to 30, then we come back down to 22. We come up to 30, we come back, we just sit here and die of boredom for the rest of our lives. So if that comes up, then we test the 50. We probably stay sideways on the 50 for a while, and that's where it's at. Or we come up to the 50, we get a hard rejection, and we come back down. So that'll be points of confluence to deal with later on. But ultimately, where I think we're at, we have a lot of points that are indicating that we are in a sort of a bullish drive. And to be clear, it doesn't mean we're going to clear an all-time high. It doesn't mean to go celebrate and take over the world and flip cars and throw Molotov cocktails and stuff, because I don't think we're in a position yet. And I don't have enough points of confluence to say, yes, we're in a good spot to clear a new all-time high. Yes, we're moving into a new bull market. That's not where I think we're at. I think we're right now in a bear market pump, which ultimately leads to a pretty good rally if we can clear these zones, which puts us in, for me, profit-taking zones, profit, and then let it come back down and die. Or, hey, cool, we have more points of confluence. This might go higher. Okay, right here. Okay, still no rejection. Okay, so that we just keep playing with it. Then we get up here. This is the 200-day moving average. If we were to pump to this, that is the indicator that I look for, one of the big ones, of whether or not we're going to have a solid bull market. So the 200-day moving average, which sits up here, right here at 35. Interestingly, it's right here at this regression zone. So it's 35,400. That is, if we cleared that and went past it, that gives a really good indicator that we're back in a good bull market rally. So things to look out for. When you kind of zoom out on these two different things, what we can look at is we have the 200 week, which is down here, which is a good bear market indicator. And then we have the 200 day, which is a good bull market indicator up here at 35. I think by the time we get to a zone near this, or we do make this pump, this is probably going to be down here. So this is going to consistently go down. And ultimately, when this gets to the lowest position possible, I think that's when we start to see the bull market start to get back up. Like I said, I don't have enough points of confluence to say yes or no yet. I can see right now on the 4 hour, we've got a little bit of a top here. So we had it up here and then we reaccumulated. We've got it right here. We reaccumulated a bit. We're coming back up to test it. So kind of seeing if that's going to play out. And that's why I say, like, don't celebrate and FOMO in until we have good points of confluence. And for me, it's usually on the daily that's going to tell me, like, are we actually moving, or are we going to test these resistance zones? I have seen some whale wallets that sold like all of their BTC at this zone. Are they right? We don't know yet. We don't have enough points of confidence to really tell. What do I think? I think we're probably in a position to where this God candle pushed back up and it's resisting here. We might come back up and touch that to test that level. Then we're going to come back up and test this and get sandwiched in here for a bit. And that's going to dictate exactly where this thing goes from here. It does look like it's fairly strong from where I'm at right now. And let's look at it's easier to see on the daily. When we look at the daily, we're pushing past it pretty nicely. So I would say if we clear this, then it's retest and then we can drive. If we get rejected off this, we retest the 200 week and we drive back up. But that's kind of where we're at, where I do see the daily, the trend change is fairly significant right now. So I do think there's potential upside, and that's the way it was. So let me know if you have any questions, or if you're in the chat and you're watching this, make sure you like the broadcast and make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know what your number one biggest point is. What's up, Sammy? You are here tuning in live. The Ministry of Attraction. He does have the most attractive long hair I've ever seen in my life. I think at some point we need to get together and do a long hair photo shoot, and we can have like the air blowers and stuff like that, and long hair, and that song that was popular on Twitter, just like reenact that with the long hair gang. But thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything that's a burning desire in your mind. I'm here to answer and support. If you answer after or ask something after the fact, I will get on and answer them, or I'll answer them on my next broadcast. But I hope this is helpful. And remember, just stay safe out there. It's been a wild ride. And for me, as I always say, the bear market is the time for growth. That's why I'm building the Bear Market Society, because we're going to win in the bear, so that way we can take over in the bull and make fun of everybody who FOMOs in. I'm just kidding. We don't want to make fun of people because they FOMO in on the tops. Like, for example, the people who FOMOed in at like 65K, 60K plus, they're probably in an incredible amount of pain. Like, wow, I bought this high and now I'm like just getting crushed. And now they have to probably wait for the next bull market to even break even. So that's another point. We want to make sure that we invest intelligently, and we invest and understand that there are times to accumulate and there are times to stop accumulating. I think a DCA strategy is great, but I think at the same time, we want to pay attention. Where are good accumulation zones? And probably there's probably a zone in the bull market where I should stop buying for a while. So that way I don't get buried. So that way I don't raise my average cost up so high that I can't be profitable. Over 10 years, if you're not going to touch it, yeah, probably you'll turn out okay. But for me, like there's such a good opportunity here to make revenue and to put yourself in a position to where you can acquire more coin without actually having to have more fiat is pretty neat. And I think we're in an unprecedented area where crypto's adoption isn't necessarily level 10 right now. So I think we have the potential to take advantage of this and be first in and win at this game. You kind of got to pay attention, or not. It's your choice, because this isn't financial advice. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you where your belly button is, but I can tell you the general location of where your belly button might be. And so take that with as you will. I will talk to you all later. It's time to cut out and live the dream. See ya.